Russian officials say a fire triggered explosions in the annexed Crimean Peninsula. The blasts come after a string of explosions destroyed Russian warplanes in the region last week. ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy joins me live now for more on this. Mick, thanks for being on. Ukraine so far isn't saying that it's behind this latest attack in Crimea. So what do we know about what happened there at this point?
So, Diane, Ukraine has stated publicly that their mission now is to retake the peninsula of Crimea, and it looks like they have aggressively entered into an irregular warfare phase of their overall defense. And I think we're seeing an uptick in operations both in Crimea and around Kherson, which is a key city on the coast that the Ukrainians will also like to launch a counteroffensive. So they're probably not going to acknowledge most of the activity that happens there because they want the Russian soldiers to be afraid whether it's Ukrainians or whether it's inside job, so to speak. And that's part of the element of irregular warfare, is to really be deceptive and clandestine with your operation.
Now, meanwhile, thousands of people are fleeing that region around Europe's largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine. What's the main concern when it comes to that plant, and how widespread would the danger be if something goes wrong there?
So this is the largest nuclear plant in Europe. So if there's large munitions that are being detonated near that plant, it could potentially rupture the containment mechanism for these reactors, which would spread radioactivity not only through Europe, but it would also go into Russia. It's really past time for the international community to put real punishments in place if the Russians don't turn this particular nuclear plant over to the scientists and technicians so they can essentially make sure it's safe and secure, and just put a no-fire zone around the entire facility. It is absolutely critical that they do this.
And Ukraine's foreign minister says that they have not lost a single HIMARS rocket system throughout this entire conflict. How significant is that, and what does it tell you about their chances of winning the war?
So this rocket system is substantial, and I think it's actually it's a game changer on the battlefield, quite frankly, because it allows the Ukrainians to fire outside of the range of artillery, and that is really substantial. They're taking out so many armor and artillery of the Russians. They're having a hard time essentially replacing them because they don't have the technology because of the export controls that we put on them. So the more this rocket system's in use, and obviously that requires a lot of munitions that's coming from the United States, the better.
All right, Mick Mulroy, always great to have your analysis, Mick. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane.
But I actually want to get you on we have some breaking news just now. Vice President Mike Pence at the Politics and Eggs breakfast in Manchester, New Hampshire, which noteworthy enough that he's going to New Hampshire, which is a stop for potential presidential candidates. He just said that he would consider testifying before the January 6th House committee. He was asked if he would do it, and his quote, I will quote him here, his response was, if there was an invitation to participate, I would consider it. And this would be, we know as members of his staff have talked to the committee. Pence previously had said he would not do so. And now, as he's potentially eyeing the White House himself, he is signaling an openness to do so, which would be a significant step for the committee. Ken, what do you think he would be able to tell them?
Oh, Jonathan, I mean, first of all, he was there at the Capitol that day. He would be able to paint in vivid detail what he believes was an attack on our democracy. But then secondly, he'll be able to talk about all the steps that he took that day to try to bring in security and get the National Guard in. And he was making all the calls. He was the one, not President Trump, who was engaged in trying to get law enforcement to stop this attack. And he would be able to say why he was doing that and why the president wasn't. Look, I think this was a huge development because if you read his other remarks, he's trying to straddle the line. He's criticizing the search and saying that the Attorney General should justify what happened, but he's also denouncing attacks on the FBI and denouncing Republicans who say defund the FBI. On January 6th, he's not going full Liz Cheney, but he's basically saying this was a horrible day for our democracy. And while I'm still a Republican, and he still seems to be supporting President Trump in some fashion, former President Trump, he's also saying he's willing to come and testify about the bad things that he saw that day, which could be incredibly incriminating to Trump, guys.
Yeah, we'll have to see whether he follows through or not. Wow. He has been, as you say, trying to have it both ways. But if he does, this would be a bombshell. Ken, one
Now, staying in America, Joe Biden has signed into law the biggest ever investment to fight climate change in the US. The bill, known as the Inflation Reduction Act, includes more than $400 billion of new spending. It is overwhelmingly about greener energy, as well as carbon capture and some incentives for fossil fuel companies in the shape of new drilling opportunities. Joe Biden said it was one of the most significant laws in America's history. Our North America correspondent Peter Bowes has the latest.
It was a long time in coming, a hugely ambitious plan to tackle climate change that the Democrats struggled to get through Congress. Just a few weeks ago, with opposition within their own ranks, it seemed impossible. But now the Inflation Reduction Act is a reality, signed into law by Joe Biden at the White House. This is a defining moment for the president, his biggest achievement in office. The new law includes more than $400 billion in new spending. Big corporations will pay higher taxes. The measures to tackle climate change include support for solar energy, tax credits to help Americans buy electric cars, and rebates for families to install energy-efficient appliances. And Medicare, the US healthcare system for people over 65, will be able to negotiate lower drug prices.
This bill is the biggest step forward on climate ever. And it's going to allow us to boldly take additional steps toward meeting all of my climate goals, the ones we set out when we ran. It includes ensuring that we create clean energy opportunities in frontline and fence-line communities that have been smothered by the legacy of pollution, and fight environmental injustice that's been going on for so long.
Republicans are sceptical that the law will help to reduce inflation. But with less than 3 months to go until America's midterm elections, this is a legislative win that President Biden and the Democrats will try to use to their advantage. Peter Bowes, BBC News.
Lingua italiana desiderano esprimerle.
Come stai? Come ti chiami? Ti piace stare qui? Accomodati. Nell'udienza parlavamo del dialogo fra vecchi e giovani. Questo è stato coraggioso, questo, E rimane tranquillo, Deus, Pater et Filius, Spiritus Sanctus.
Amen.
New reporting from the Washington Post that former President Trump is struggling to assemble a team of veteran lawyers to defend him against the Justice Department investigation into the handling of confidential documents at Mar-a-Lago. Joining us, national political reporter at the Washington Post, Isaac Arnsdorf, who was part of the team that broke this story. Isaac, great to see you. What are you reporting this morning in terms of the search for lawyers?
So there's definitely a recognition among some of Trump's advisors that they need some more legal firepower here, that this is a very serious and complicated case, has a lot of legal issues. You're up against the Department of Justice with all its resources, and they need some heavy hitters. They need some people who have experience working and winning cases at this level. And that's, but the problem is they've actually been going around trying to add those people to the team, and they've been hearing a lot of no's.
So they do have two lawyers with experience. They have Evan Corcoran, right, who was Bannon's lawyer in one trial, and Jim Trusty, who's also someone who's got federal experience here. Why do they need more, and why are people saying no?
Yeah, they've also got John Rowley, who's been handling some of the interactions with the Justice Department, and he also has some experience. But then, looking at the rest of the team, you've got a former OAN host, you've got a property insurance lawyer who joined the bar in 2014, and you've got someone who leads a three-person firm and used to be the general counsel for a parking garage company. And so one issue is the level of experience and also the leadership. Who is in charge here? Who is going to run this? And ordinarily, representing the former president in a high-profile case like this would be the opportunity of a lifetime that all sorts of famous lawyers would be clamoring for. But the issue here, and we've seen this before, like if you think back to the Mueller investigation, when Trump had a similar struggle to get really serious, seasoned, well-respected lawyers on his team. He doesn't always take advice. He doesn't always pay the bill, and he's very controversial. A lot of firms and a lot of lawyers don't want the headaches that would go along with representing him. We heard from one lawyer a story about how they went to the Oval Office for something and told him not to tweet, and by the time they got to the White House driveway and checked their phones, there was a tweet.
Isaac Arnsdorf, thank you so much for being with us and sharing your reporting.
Thank you.